everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm doing the repainting now for my Artisan Agent K Bladerunner 2049 figure. Just tried it out on a little section of the other jacket. That's the paint I'm using. Couldn't find Viridian, the colour, in dye, so I had to get it in acrylic paint. And it's a little bit different than how it looked when I saw the picture on Amazon. The tone is a little bit, I mean, it looks about as close as I can get really, but when you put it mixed with water, it's quite bright. So that's just with some water mixed in, and I'm just going to paint it on. So that little section in the middle is the bit I've tested out so far. That's the stock colour. It takes on the material quite well. So it's just a matter of me tweaking the tone a little bit and then painting the whole thing. I can't just dip it in water because of the collar. I don't want to mess up the colour of the fur, so I'll have to go around those edges with a really small flat brush. Okay, so I'm going to get on with it. So I think to start out with, I emptied the one you saw out down the sink, and I'm going to start out with a lot more of a subtle mix, mostly water with just a pinch of paint. So if I go over the inside and just test it out again on a different section, but keep it at the back on the inside of the coat, just to test out this mix. I want something a little bit more subtle than what we just saw. Alright, yeah, that mix is way too light. That didn't do nothing. The bit where you can obviously see, that's when I did the first mix, and then this, I've just dried it with the heat gun. It didn't do anything, so I'm going to have to add a little bit more paint in, but not as much as I did that first time. Okay, still with this mix, currently way too mild to have any kind of effect. The left side is the original dose, and then over here on the right, beside it on the right, hasn't even really had any effect, so I've got to get it a bit closer to what we started out with the mix. You'll have to experiment with your ratios and, you know, between the paint and the water. So I'm just trying to get that right, folks. Someone asked me to film it all, so that's what I'm doing. I know I'm not very good at filming all this stuff, but I'm just giving you step by step how it's going here. If you're ever using acrylic paint and water to alter the colour of some clothing for a figure, I just put a little bit of paint on the brush and then mix it into the water, but you'll have to make sure you find all the tiny little globs of paint, because you'll be surprised if you turn up and just crush them and make sure there's no globby bits in here. It's completely all mixed in with the water. That's important, because otherwise you could end up with some nasty streaks on your clothing. But just keep crushing around, make sure you squash all the paint, get it mixed in with the water. Alright, so I have had to keep adding more paint to the water because it's just not really having an effect when it's so watered down. That's the original test bit there, and then I did a whole section here with the more watered down look, but it's just not really, I mean, it has subtly got in there, but just not enough. So I just want a bit less than this, so I'm still working on it, but I do have to keep adding more paint to the water. We're at a much different ratio than we were a minute ago, and as you keep adding in more paint, you can't see the bottom anymore, so you have to really make sure you squish all that paint and give it a proper squishing everywhere for ages and stir it around, make sure there's no globs in there. Alright, I've gone in and I've done the whole clean jacket with this mix, so I'm just hoping it has some kind of effect when it dries. I'll speed up the drying process with the heat gun. I think heat helps seal the colour in, I hope. Doesn't seem to be shrinking anything, so that's good. So yeah, it's wet at the moment, so hopefully I'll dry it for you now and we'll see a nice obvious effect. Hopefully I don't have to do it again. May have to, we'll see. Alright, so it's dry now. I used the heat gun from a distance. I wouldn't use kitchen towels or tissue because you're just going to absorb the colour that you're trying to get to sink into the material. So on camera it's really not showing much of a difference, but in person there is a nice subtle difference. There's just a hint more green in this one now compared to the stock one here. But I am going to probably do one more pass with that mix and just dry it again, do a second coat, and see if that will get me to the level I want it to be at. I'm thinking about adding in a splash more paint to the water just to make it a little bit more obvious, because it is very subtle, but there is a tinge of green all through it now. Certain bits are still drying, as you can see around the pockets. And I just use a flathead brush to apply it. So that's how I'm applying the watery paint. Right, so I'm going to give it one more try, maybe add in a splash of paint and just get this done, because I still got to do both coats. If I like the results, I'll do it to both of them, and then have to get on with repainting his hair and maybe doing some extra grime on the regular head sculpt. I'm not going to do anything to this one because I really like it. Okay folks, after 2 coats we have very satisfying results. I am very happy with this tone. It's not too much, but you can definitely see that really kind of hard to describe Bladerunner 2049 jacket color coming through. It's worked, man. I'm really happy. So let's just come over to the other one. I'll take off his coat and I'll put them side by side so we can see. But yeah, you can see, I mean, it changes in different lighting, but it's basically a grey jacket. And then over here now we have this really nice tone. As you can see, it's nice and even, and I haven't got it on the collar, so look at that. That's really nice. That's kind of the color I'd love my 78 Michael Myers coveralls to be. So this paint may come in handy for something else in the future. Those are the 2 brushes I was using. The small one for going around the collar without getting it on the fur, and the big one just for getting it done on the main bulk. But look at that. That is the tone I was after. This has worked out, folks. Easy to do. Just take your time, be careful. Look at that though. Look at the results. You can't argue with that. I'll take the other jacket off and put it side by side with this one now. We'll take a look at the difference. Alright, so I'm trying to find the best room to show this to you. The repainted one is on the right, the stock one's on the left. Now you can definitely see a difference, and you can see in the middle at the back where the original test blob was, but you won't see that when that's on the figure. I could always go over it with a darker kind of wash and kind of blend it in a little bit. I'll take it into a different room, but you can definitely see a difference. Let me turn the brightness down a touch here because it's a bit washed out. There we go. See? I think it's a nice difference in tone. It looks more like the movie to me. So there you go. You can let me know what you think in the comments. I've still got lots to do, but I'm very happy with that, and I guess I'll be doing that to this one now. Uh-oh, we've woken the beast. The beast! The beast! Alright, let's give you a look in a different room. I was just getting the thumbnail for the video sorted out. And yes, the results are beautiful. I'm really happy. The jacket is done. I'm going to do the other one now. That's the tone I was after. I just have to do the other jacket, and then I need to redo the hair on both sculpts, and a little bit of dirt and grime on his pants as well. They're a little bit clean, and I'll figure out what else I can do, but that's about it. So I'm going to get back to work, folks, but I'm very happy with these results, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can get this done, get beautiful results like this without too much money or stress. Wow, folks, honestly, the results are beautiful. Just the perfect tone. Just makes the whole thing look better. Alright, better get to it and do this one. You can see the difference. That's the stock colour, and that's the repaint. Alright, it's still drying, but I've done the battle damage coat now as well, so they both match. Now I need to repaint the hair on that head sculpt first and foremost, because that's the one that needs repainting the most. Alright folks, I'm finished for tonight because I've got a mean old migraine and I just can't go on, so I've still got to edit this and chuck it up on YouTube. I haven't done anything to the pants yet. I did repaint the hair on both heads, but I still need to add a bit of gloss. But I got rid of that reddish colour that I didn't like close to the ears, around the temples, and just blended in the colour to the more dark colour that was on the top of the sculpt. Did that with both of these. Fixed the collar on this one, That was about 3 different specks of glue in 3 different places, basically on either side towards the front and one at the back, just to fold it over nice and tight. You see the new colour now. Need to do more weathering on this one. This is the battle damage one, so I still got to do all the sea salt stains, but can't do that tonight. But I'll bring you another video in the future. But the main thing was to show you the results of the coat, and I think it turned out fantastic. So yeah, I recommend you do it. I know it's a bit scary with things that are as pricey as this, but it really wasn't too bad. I think it was well worth doing. And let me know what you think of the results in the comments section. Like I say, there's still more work to do on this figure, so that should be enough to tide you over for now. Once again, that is the paint that I used with the water to get the effect on the coats and jackets. Right, so I did repaint the hair on both heads, but on this one I just dry brushed over the brown with a lighter brown just to catch all the raised sections and get some highlights in there, a bit of depth. You can see the individual kind of strands now, but then I need to wet the hair, which I haven't done yet. So I have repainted the hair and done some highlighting, and it's looking good. Looks much better in person. Lighting in the garage is not the best, is it? Yeah, little tail. Bing 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 bing. Yeah. Bing 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 bing. Okay, so I did add the gloss to the repainted hair that's been highlighted to catch the raised sections. You can see at the side of the temple, all over really, even at the front of the hairline. I went over it and dry brushed it to give it some depth and highlights. And now I've added the gloss, and I think the darker hair, not that it's actually darker, I just blended it into the tone that the top of the hair was, because it was too red at the back and the sides, and I think this has improved things quite a lot, and there's just a bit more detail to the paint of the hair now. But I'll show you all this again once I finish all the mods. I've got to do more weathering and blood work to this battle damage jacket, got to do the pants on both sets, and then I guess it will be done. But big improvement. Love the new colour of the jacket. Let me know what you think in the comments, folks. Drop a like on it for me, and I'll be back soon with more videos, including the T800 Battle Damage Hot Toys DX figure that's coming tomorrow, hopefully.